Hello. Hi, you guys. Come on in. I'm laughing. I think I like dark chocolate in the corner of my eye. My mouth. So I'll tell you what kind of day it's been. Hi. Hi. Hi, you guys. Come on in. Welcome. Just getting everything all ready. I have two really good ones for you today. My camera, the angle is kind of funny. Sorry. I'll try to back it up a little. How are you? Okay, if you're here, will you come say hi to me in the chat box? I just like knowing who's here. Okay. Woo! I feel like I'm just been doing like back-to-back calls because we're running our Simply Real Life group too this month. So I'm like out of the office, back in here. Let's set it up. It's like a different side of my brain sometimes cooking, which is why I love it. I feel like I need it sometimes. Okay, how are you guys? Come on in. I can see the numbers in here. We'll give people like a couple minutes. But we're going to do for May 2 really exciting recipes in that I feel like they're so springtime and so fun. And also, I was thinking about this concept because every year around this time, I kind of do some like our annual like photo shoots. So we have photos for all of the things that we're doing throughout the year. And so in the process of photo shoots, I bought like a lot of different herbs this week. So I have like mint, and then I have parsley, and then I have this head of like cilantro. And then I was thinking about it this week. I'm like, I used, whatever I needed for the recipe. And then really like just staring at, they stare at me every day in the fridge, like use me. Otherwise you're going to have to throw me out. So today I thought like, let's talk about things, especially as we go into spring and into summer, of like the situations where you do have to buy some sort of fresh herb for a recipe. Like how do you go through and like use all of it, use the things that you are buying, some things that you can do ahead. So let's say you don't necessarily have a recipe that you need for the rest of the week, or things are all planned out, or you have other plans, as happens in the spring and summer a lot. There's more going on. So things you can do with the herbs right then and there to sort of like make an amazing sauce or blend them up in some way that you can then freeze for later. And then also talking about like different ways you can sprinkle and add in these herbs throughout different dishes and weeks. So today we're going to do one completely brand new recipe, and then we're going to make a sauce, one of my favorite sauces that is perfect for this time of year because it can go on so many different things and does a great job of using up any extra herbs that you have around. And especially in, I think we talked about this last month, but especially in being able to, like when you are buying this stuff, knowing like a lot of the seasonal changes that happen in our body, like around springtime, involve these foods that are naturally what our bodies need to start transitioning seasons. So in the case of like, let's say parsley, you'll see parsley in a lot of recipes in the spring and into the summer. Parsley is like a very natural detoxifier. It's really good for blood building. It's really good. So like all of these things, and same thing with like cilantro, they all have these components to them that, especially as spring starts to come, they are all these almost like superfoods that people don't really talk about because they're so basic and they've been around forever and they're so widely accessible. But so many of them have like these just very powerful healing properties to them, and they're so flavorful, which is why they're used in recipes. So I like to use them in recipes because of both reasons. The health promoting component, and also makes it taste great. So even things like doing, like if you have mint, even planting, I got this little mint at the grocery store, needs a little water today, but having in like a windowsill of fresh, you guys probably can't see it, but I think it's being blown out by the sunshine that's here today. But I have like oregano, basil, and rosemary just kind of right over my sink. And it's so nice to just grab a few leaves, even with like mint that anybody can plant. You don't need to know how to do it. It grows wildly and so successfully, but mint and then trimming a few leaves off and putting it into hot water, you can make the best tasting mint tea, which is where mint tea comes from. Okay, can everybody see in here? will you just type a little chat box like yes or hi, or even if you're on your phone or watching this somewhere else, I just want to make sure the tech is working because we want to have these replays for you later as well. Sisters, everyone, that would be awesome. Okay, so today we're doing a brand new recipe, which is a summer quinoa tabbouleh, which is, I am loving it so much for lunch. And this one actually tastes better the next day. Okay, hi Taylor, hi Jessica. Oh my gosh, great. Hi Lucy, awesome. As long as we can see in here, we're good. So I've been loving this one for lunch lately. It tastes better the next day. And it's one of those great catch-all recipes where you can like use kind of whatever herbs that you have. And it tastes best, I think, with like a different combination. So at least 2 different green herbs. So like, again, oregano, mint, green onion, parsley, cilantro, a different mix. So using whatever you have on hand. However, tabbouleh is like a classic Mediterranean dish that is oftentimes very parsley heavy and very lemon heavy. So it's like a tangy sort of dish that you can customize how you like it. So it does great with additions of like, if you have any other veggies, this is going to be, so it's quinoa and lemon, green onion. So this one is in your dashboards right now if you want to pull it up. It's called the summer quinoa tabbouleh. Lemon, green onions, mint, parsley, doing some cucumber and some tomatoes. You can also, it's optional if you want to do like a feta cheese or a goat cheese or mozzarella cheese if you have. That's totally optional. Other fun add-ins could be things like avocado, or if you have leftover shredded chicken. It's a great side dish. It's a great dish. How I've been loving it has been mixed with arugula. So like a little bit more of a green salad with the quinoa too. And quinoa too is it's like the grain that is the most protein heavy. So it helps, it's high fiber, high protein, helps keep you full long. It's a whole grain, it's gluten-free. Also, by the way, it's the quickest one to cook, even faster than rice. So it's why I use it in a lot of different recipes, because that is also important too. So if you want to be cooking along, those are the ingredients that we have, and or using things that are similar that you tend to have. I also have some chives, again, left over from this week's photo shoot, and I think that will pair really nicely. I tend to think anytime you have green onions, chives are also great. Chives are like the little baby sister of green onions. They're a little bit more like mild than the green onions can be. Okay, great. You guys can all see in here. And then the second recipe we're going to do is the parsley lime coconut sauce, which I have in your recipe dashboards with, it's like a roasted veggie bowl that you can do with like rice or buckwheat or even quinoa if you want to, but it's actually a great sauce to use as a salad dressing, to use as a marinade, like think about like with chicken. So it's like a little bit, it has fresh ginger and lime and shallot as the base. And then we're using the rest of our parsley and cilantro with some coconut milk, and we're kind of blending it all up together. So I'll show you the process of what that goes like, but that's going to make an awesome sauce, which is great. Again, you can use the herbs immediately and then make a sauce that will almost like freeze very well for later. So what I did, I started here. Let's start with the summer quinoa tabbouleh. So because it's so boring to watch quinoa cook, it's actually so fast. All I did, the recipe calls for 1 cup quinoa and 2 cups water. I'm doing a half portion here just so you can see. I'm the only one eating it this week, so I don't need like 2 full. It will make like a double batch. 1 cup of quinoa makes 2 cups of cooked quinoa. So this has been my favorite thing for lunch. And again, if you try it and taste it, let it sit for a day and then try it again. Yeah. Okay. Taylor's saying I'm so excited about this. Our herb box is going crazy. I'm trying to figure out how to use them. Yeah. Okay. So these will be perfect for this. And 2 recipes that are great to make all through the spring, all through the summer. And so that's kind of where, and they're quick and easy, have tons of flavor, because I think you can have all at once, all of them. Okay, so we have the quinoa in here. So first thing I'm going to do, and I just cooked it. You can cook the quinoa ahead, which is kind of nice. You're going to do either 1 large lemon if you're making the full recipe, or 2 small ones. Right now, I'm going to use just 1 small one. I'm having the recipe. So you want to get the lemon juice in here first. This is also going to help like cool it down. sometimes when you put herbs in like a hot bowl of food, it will wilt them. So we're just going to use this as our liquid to cool down. And if you don't have lemon, again, you can always swap lemon juice for a red wine vinegar. I find that's a nice like pantry staple to always have because it swaps in and out for lemon, or, you know, like if your lemon isn't ripe enough or whatever, you can always use like a red wine vinegar in its place. I'm just going to stir this around. Right. And then we're going to do cucumber next. So I always buy the English cucumbers. I find that they just have fewer seeds and the seeds are less like obtrusive. But it's totally up to you in whatever, any cucumber is great. If you're using a regular cucumber where the seeds are big or seedy, or you even better have a garden, sometimes I like to take the middle of a spoon and just scrape out some of the seeds, especially if you're going to make this for like a make ahead style, because the seeds will just kind of make it mushy. So if it is going to sit for a while, I'm going to have this for dinner. So if it is going to sit for a while, maybe you want to scoop out some of the seeds. I always like to put these face down. You can get much more fancy with your cutting if you like. You can do it into thirds. Some people like to do just like bigger slices of cucumber. I just tend to cut in half and then kind of get these like little quarter sizes right here, like this. I like a little bit of like a chunk in quinoa salads. Like I like having separate bites of things and it not being too small, but that is also totally up to you. So regular recipe, you're going to use 1 full English cucumber, again, or more or less, depending on preference. A lot of these recipes, especially like the make ahead, the deli style stuff, it's whatever you have. So if you have zucchini and not cucumber, these same combinations will work great. If you have peppers, like red peppers, yellow peppers, orange peppers, those often can be great swaps for tomatoes if you do or don't have either ingredient. Chives and green onion can be a great swap. Okay, so we've got cucumber in here. And then tomatoes, just again, depending on the size and just depending on how much you want. I have it written in the recipe for 2 medium tomatoes. So these are kind of smaller. And depending what type of tomato, these are just the ones that I have on hand today. So these are just Roma tomatoes. Again, just doing a similar size dice. And when it is possible, this is just totally preference. If you're in a rush, maybe it doesn't make as much sense, but I like to try and get the seeds out because it just makes it mushy. So I'll cut them first, but then I sometimes do like a cut on the inside, or I'll just pull the seeds out as I'm putting it in. Just personal preference. I feel like if I'm going to make it, I want it to be something that can like be around for the next day or two that I can just grab and not have to think about it being like soggy. If you really are going to do this ahead of time, again, peppers might be better. They're a little bit more sturdy, but in the art of talking about summer produce and fruits and vegetables, things that are available at farmers markets or in your own gardens if you're so lucky. Things are in season, also things that will be on sale coming up. So that's a lot of what seasonal eating is about. Okay, got one in there. I'm just going to do one more like that. Yeah. So tabbouleh is like typically made with a bulgur, which is a type of wheat. So it's not gluten-free, but it is delicious. And I've seen it also done with like a couscous. So, and couscous is much more like a pasta in terms of nutrient value. That's why I tend to like quinoa better, also because I'm gluten-free. But quinoa has like a little bit more nutrient density than bulgur or couscous, but you can again, like use whatever you have in your pantry and whatever you like and whatever your body does good with, most importantly. Okay, so we've got our tomato, we've got our cucumber, we have our lemon juice in there already, and now we're going to get ready for the herbs. Again, you can kind of play with the combo of like what you like. Like me personally, I write the recipes for like what most people would typically like in their taste buds. So for most people, this would be, like around 3 green onions. If you don't like green onion, if you feel free to swap it out. I am not going to do, so half of the recipe would be 1.5. Do you know this with green onions? You use the bottom, cut the bottom, and then the top green parts, and this middle part is kind of like usually the part that gets tossed. So if you like more of an actual onion bite, these white parts down here are much more similar to like a regular onion, whereas the tops of them are going to be much more mild and kind of provide like a little bit of a more herbal flavor. And again, the color of it too. So I go personally a little light on the onion. I come from like years of having digestive stuff and issues, and a lot of times garlic and onions can be big culprits for that. So I go a little bit lighter, and I tend to do less of the white, more of the green. Personal preference. Again, the recipe is written for how most people would like. But I do love chives because they give, again, that similar flavor, but without being as strong and as like powerful tasting. So I do like to just fold these over. It's about, I would say, a quarter if you're buying them and it's like a carton like this, probably about a quarter of the package, probably like, I don't know, 10 to 12 different of these little mini stalks. Feels so productive when you're like, the worst is just cutting one herb for a recipe. Like if you're gonna do it, you might as well do 2 or 3. Is that just me? Feels like productive. I'm like, gonna get it dirty. We're gonna have our fresh herbs. It's gonna taste amazing, and then we'll clean it all up, and that's much more productive than just parsley for one recipe. Okay, now we're gonna get into the mint. Again, feel free to play with the amounts of these different things. If you don't like mint, you can leave it out. I think it brings a nice like sweetness and herbal flavor to this. Okay, so this is about like half a bunch of mint. I'm doing about a quarter. All these herbs are pretty, like, they have strong flavor. So whenever you're doing fresh herbs versus dried, or if you're ever wanting to swap from a recipe, you will always need less of the fresh than you do of the dried. Fun fact. Yeah. And someone was asking about basil. Yeah, you can absolutely use basil. I feel like basil is the herb of when you're not sure. It's always a good one to use because it's just a crowd pleaser and it's sweet tasting, and there are very rarely people who don't like it. Okay, so this is it. So again, if you're going to do cheese, or just doing some pepper and some sea salt, about 1 teaspoon of sea salt and probably about half a teaspoon of pepper, again, based on your preferences. But this is all you need for your base. Again, you could do shredded chicken in here. You could pair this with something else. I will probably mix this later with either butter lettuce or arugula, because I like how it can get in the little crevices of arugula. And then taste and see how you go, and then taste it again the next day and see what you think. So you can add more lemon juice if you want. You can do I would probably add, if you're going to do avocado or cheese, add it right before you're serving. And again, you just keep this in a sealed container in the fridge. I think it gets better over time. So this is just 1 cup of quinoa. So see how much that actually makes? It like doubles in size. So you'll see the serving sizes, and of course you can adjust it as you go when you make this on your own. Okay, any questions? Okay, somebody was asking, like, can you make this warm or heated? Absolutely, it would be great. Yeah, other fun additions. It's whatever you prefer, like whatever your body does great with. Like as a lunch, I probably need like some extra substance in here. So like probably some avocado or you could do beans, like garbanzo beans, white beans. You could mix this with lentils. That would be really good. All those are great for making it ahead and letting it sit. Yeah, and then, you know, try it and see. Make it your own, as with all of these, always. Okay, so let's move on to the second one today, which is this garlic ginger, not garlic, but ginger shallot sort of parsley sauce. I think I used to call it when I first was when I first made this, I called this the post-vacation bowl because it tastes like you're still on vacation, like really decadent, has all these like great flavors, but it's something that you can eat like when you get back from vacation and feeling like your body just needs more nutrients. This sauce is kind of like a great catch-all for again, you're kind of getting the parsley in, you're getting a little bit of like the blood detoxifiers in there, things that are going to help you feel better, like lots of super powerful greens, chlorophyll, just everything that your body kind of needs if you have a little extra sugar or a little extra wine or other things going on, which can make it perfect for summer. I'm turning this on over medium heat over here because we're just going to first saute the shallot right there, and the ginger together. So I'm just going to do like a fine dice. So speaking of things that are a little bit more mild, a shallot is a much more mild version of kind of like a cross between onion and garlic. And so it can be done a lot, like sometimes it's used a little bit more even like raw in salads, kind of like a green onion can be. So I'm just going to dice it thinly here. We're just going to do like a really quick kind of light saute of the shallot while we get everything else ready. And same thing with the ginger, like this. So again, this is going to make this parsley, cilantro, lime, ginger sauce that's just so good, especially like with seafood or potatoes. You could do it with quinoa. It would be great, like a little bit of the sauce even in this dish together would be so good. So normally it'd be one shallot, and that's what I'm going to do here. One shallot, one bunch of parsley, one bunch of cilantro. You guys, I love this recipe because it uses the whole thing. Instead of just like half a bunch here, half a bunch there. It's like if you've used a little bit for a different recipe and then you have almost an entire head of things, this is such a good one to make. Okay, so we have one shallot going. We're going to do like about a 2-inch piece of ginger. This is the biggest piece of ginger I've ever seen. So 2-inch piece of ginger, so probably about here. And depending, so this is going to be a sauce that we put all the ingredients together in a blender. We're going to mix it up with a little bit of like coconut milk. So depending on the type of blender that you have, if you have a super powerful blender, you don't need to really finely chop it. If you don't have a powerful blender, something that can help, so like as I'm chopping, I think I forgot, you can always use a zester or a microplane to grate the ginger like this, so that you're going to get like a little bit more uniform pieces, and you do not need to remove the skin. So a lot of times people think that they have to. With the rest of this, a little trick is that you can just put this in the freezer in like a Ziploc bag, and even when it's frozen, it grates really easily. So it's actually really good. Talking about like fresh mint tea, but like fresh ginger mint tea with like a little lemon. If you just want to grate it into hot water in the morning and just do a ginger tea. Some people like to add a little honey or not. It's totally up to you. But it's also great in like curries. And ginger is just so healing. It's like one of the highest anti-inflammatory foods that you can eat. And it's really great for immunity as well. So I love keeping, this is a new piece of ginger, but when I buy a piece like that, you can keep the rest in your freezer and then just grate it over things like curries, again, tea, anything that's like a savory dish, anything that you're using like coconut milk in as a base. You could do a ginger cocktail syrup. We have a recipe for that in your dashboards as well. So it's kind of one of those, again, like very powerful, but often overlooked foods that's like a powerhouse, superfood food to have. Okay, so you can see here, this is grated back in here. And if you want a stronger taste, you can leave this as like raw ginger, but I'm just going to saute it a little bit so it just kind of mellows out along with the shallot. And the combination of the two is like kind of magical. It's awesome. Okay, I'm just going to do a quick saute over here. So while that is going, we will get started on our herbs. So I have already washed these at least with the parsley. I always like to buy the curly parsley instead of the flat. I just find it's a little bit easier to like wield and a little bit easier to cut. The flat leaves, like you end up kind of trying to like pick the leaves, but taste-wise, it really doesn't matter. I also like to, in dishes, when you chop the curly parsley, the curly parsley is just like, you get a little bit more of like a fine chop. So it's not these like big chunks of parsley. Okay, so I hold it at the stem here, and I just kind of like go down. So I'm trying to get the least amount of stem, the most amount of leaves, like this. You do not need to meticulously pick. It's the other thing I think with herbs that happens is people are like, oh, it takes so long. You have to like pick every individual thing, and you don't. Just as long as you're getting most of it here, right? And then you can see, put this right here. With a sauce like this, like you really won't notice if there's a little bit of like stem, but there's really only like 2 stems to pick here. And the rest is going to be great. And because this is all blended, it doesn't matter. It's all going in the same spot. So 1 head of parsley, or 1 bunch of parsley, and then we're going to do 1 bunch of cilantro. And then the cilantro is right here, and same thing with the cilantro. Just hold the bunch here, and you're just kind of going to go cut down on all sides, and you're going to get most of these leaves rather than the stem. And a little bit of the stem is totally fine, but this makes it, again, just a quick little shortcut. And there are great recipes you can do with the stem. They just tend to be a little more bitter for most people, and that is the taste that most, like, the American palate does not like typically. So most people, sometimes even the leaves of cilantro can be bitter for them. So it's just why. But we're using most of it, which is awesome. And then we're going to do a little bit of olive oil in here, and then most of the liquid is going to actually come from the coconut milk. Right here. Okay, now we need the juice of 1 lime. I always give it a little roll on every side to make sure it's easy to squeeze. I used to have a like citrus juicer, and now I'm like, I just don't even want one more thing to wash. We're just gonna squeeze it in. Yeah, and someone's asking if you can use lemon. You can use lemon, yeah. You can totally use lemon, or again, red wine vinegar, white wine vinegar. You just need some sort of citrus in here to balance out what we got going on. All the herbs, we got the creaminess factor. The sauce kind of like has it all. It hits all the points. It's got citrus, it's got the herbs, the herby flavor. It's got the really good, yummy, like coconut milk for a little bit of fat. It's got the little salt in it. And you've got the ginger and the shallot. So it's like so well-rounded. Could probably just eat it with a spoon. This one is not as ripe as I was hoping, but there we go. Okay, I see something in the Q&A. I can't get to it because my hands have lime juice. If you put something in the Q&A, will you put it in the chat box? Because I can see the chat box right here. Yes. So you can come find the chat box. I am so happy to answer your question now. Otherwise, I'll try and peek over there after. Okay. All right. So we have 1 bunch of parsley, 1 bunch of cilantro. We have our lime in there. We're going to do a little salt and pepper. So it's about a teaspoon salt, half a teaspoon of pepper. That's a general great starting place for most people if you like pepper. If you don't, you can do less, right? Yes. Okay. Oh yeah. The question was, can you remind us the best things to use the sauce on? Yes. So in your recipe portal, it's like over a roasted veggie bowl where it's some different, like zucchini, bok choy. You could use it broccoli, cauliflower, green beans, anything you have, carrots, any roasted veggie. You could do it over rice, over quinoa, kind of like a roasted veggie bowl. It's great also with beans in it as well. It's really good on like meat, or if you do chicken, to put that in the bowl as well. Just like a really good, almost like an all-purpose sauce, if that makes sense. And I think one of the best things to do, I know we talked about this in a different class that we did, but to use those silicone ice cube trays. And that's something that once we blend this up together, I'm putting it all in the blender. Once we blend it up, if you pour it into silicone ice cube trays, you have these like individual servings of sauce that, like, let's say you just need like 2 cubes for the amount that you're cooking, or for like to marinate chicken in, and you can put the 2 cubes in, and like that can sit on the counter if you have frozen chicken and that's all together, or to like throw in your Instant Pot. These are great. You almost have like little flavor bombs that you can throw into soups. You can do over greens. This is really good, like even with like roasted potatoes, roasted veggies. It's it's what I call like a restaurant sauce. Do you know what I mean? Like when you go to a restaurant, if you ever get like grilled fish or the shrimp, or it usually comes with this like very elaborate, great sauce. Sorry, I'm using coconut milk that I already opened this week. So that's what we got going on. So it's about 6 ounces of coconut milk so that it will blend easily. Another great way to use up any coconut milk you have. Let's see. So all I'm going to do is just blend this so it will get a little bit loud. Does that answer your question of like things you can do, serve this with? Yeah. Really good. And it's also great as a salad dressing too. Okay. About to get loud in here. Plug your ears. So this is what it's like all done, like that. See? So you can, or you can use it again all at once. If you're going to make and those roasted veggie bowls sound good to you, then do that. And this sauce will be the perfect amount. I think it's for 4 people or for 6 people. So it's a nice thing about adjusting serving sizes on that. But yeah, just a great one, like especially with the grill in the summer, if you have veggies or protein, or just even a simple bowl of like rice, quinoa, it just like elevates whatever you have. The restaurant sauce. Yeah. Okay. Do you guys have any questions at all about either one of these, or other things to do, swaps? Elizabeth said, can you use another non-dairy milk? Yeah, of course. The coconut, I do coconut milk in the can. That's why I had some left over, because those are usually, that's the one that has the least amount of stuff in it and doesn't have like gums, emulsifiers, stabilizers, sugars, that type of thing. But if you're allergic to coconut for some reason, or you don't like it, you can definitely try it with something else. If you're using like a different type of non-dairy milk, it will probably just be a little bit more liquidy. Like coconut milk in the can is a little bit thicker. So just keep that in mind. When you're blending, your sauce may come out a little bit more runny, or more liquidy, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but you might want to use a little bit less of it so that it's not super runny and still feels like a sauce versus like water, something else. Yeah. Yeah. So my hope, like on these, again, is like just to keep showing you recipes that are very simple, very easy, using stuff that's in season, and then also has the ability to adjust to whatever types of food within the real food category that you feel best with. And so that can be slightly different for every person. Like some people really thrive on less meat and more of like the beans and lentils as their, main source of protein, and nuts and seeds. Or something where if you're cooking for different people around you too, or like this is a great base recipe, and then people can add in or swap out whatever they need. So great base recipe like this. Somebody who doesn't do dairy could leave out the cheese, but if you love cheese, then add some feta or goat cheese to mix it up. Or my favorite thing is like doing something like this, and then every day adding something sort of different to it, or using the leftovers you have to put the chicken in, or leftover sausage or grilled steak, or maybe this is your side salad and then you have a green salad, and then like half of dinner is already done for you. Yeah. Okay, Jessica's saying, what size can do you get? Just a normal can of coconut milk. I'm wanting to, let me go look if I have one. If I have another one, what I use. Let's see. Okay, so normal can is about 15 ounces. We need to restock and get more. Is about 15 ounces, so it's about like half of a can. Yeah, and you can use the other half with like the chocolate chia seed pudding or the vanilla chia seed pudding if you want, or doing one of the curry recipes. Those will all use coconut milk in them too, if you want to use the full can. If you already have it out, or you can put it into like different baked goods too. Any other questions, you guys? Yeah. So the feedback we are getting, and I'm always just welcoming more. And what else do you need and do you want? And it's just like recipes like these that are flexible and easy and seasonal and quick, and also that they taste good. So if you guys have any more specific things or things on your heart or on your mind for summer, or different ways to use, I don't know, things that you tend to feel like you throw out a lot or you have around, let me know. I'm more than happy to do that and start creating recipes for those things. Yeah. Okay. I love you guys so much. I hope this was helpful to see, and hopefully the replay will work so we can put it in your dashboards for later, anytime you need some inspiration or you have a question on how something is made. That would be great to have like videos for a lot of these, at least the favorites that we make all the time. Okay. I love you guys. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And if you make these and love these, let me know. And that way we can keep creating more like it. Okay. Have a good day, you guys. Bye.